Okay, ready to pull out here. Kathy's going to be taking Sparky out of the garage here in a minute. Park the Cardis, old Suburban, in her spot. It is 5 degrees here in Peru, Illinois. It's going to be warmer in the UP. The exciting thing will be when we get there. We're not sure what to expect, because the trail cam shows not too much snow accumulation. Nevertheless, the idea is this will be the first time going out there and just camping on the lakeshore. So that's going to be a game day decision. Is the neighbor's road down there groomed? How much snow and ice is on the lakeshore? At a minimum, we can camp where we normally camp on our own land. I am able to see that on the trail camera. And you can see my crazy, insane chainsaw mounts there. Should be a fun trip. In about 6.5, 7 hours up to UP. We're driving 2 vehicles this time. Funnily enough, all of our precautions were based on the idea that it was going to be very cold this trip. Again, we left Peru, Illinois at about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. By the end of our little adventure in the UP, we were fighting melting snow and impending muskeg because it warmed all the way up to 40 degrees plus and was threatening some light rain on the last night we had planned to be up there. So how are you doing? All good? I figured I would just take a quick shot here. You ready to pull out?
Yes.
Very good. Any issues with Sparky? Alright, so the neighbor maintains the road to right here. This is no big deal to get through. I'm just going to go ahead and walk the trail, as someone else has done before me not too long ago. Just debating whether to put the chains on, but there's like ankle deep snow. So really the question is not, can I make it down this little stretch of the road? Definitely can. There are no deep ruts or anything like that. This is kind of dense, slippery snow. So you can definitely get stuck in it faster than you get stuck in other snow. And what I really need to see is how this emerges. And then I do have to check and say, all right, how passable is the beach? Let's check that out here. Oh, that is looking mighty fine. I can hear the sound of the ice kind of flexing under the wind. Yeah, we can drive right out here, and just like I did last time, the water is even lower. Over to our land. And the wind really kicked up there. It's from the southwest, so it's kind of sweeping right up in here. But that is very encouraging. Really awesome to have good neighbors who said we could use the road until I got my trail done through the woods. So as we had arrived, there was maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours maximum sunlight left, probably closer to an hour. So I walked through what will eventually become our sort of half-circle drive entrance there into the lakeshore portion of our parcel of land. And I essentially assessed that, yeah, I could probably clear that with a chainsaw and pull the tension trailer in there, but with only about an hour to 2 hours max to accomplish that and set up camp. Discretion being the greater part of valor, I made the executive decision after consulting with Kathy that we should drive back to where we normally camp and head back out here during the trip to try to prep it for future camp visits. Unexpected surprise and pleasure, Kathy decided to lead the way out. We decided there's a little more chainsaw work than I would like to do in the next hour or so that we have before the sun sets. So we're going to go camp in our regular land, we hope. We haven't seen that yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. This is the drive along the beach, and Kathy and Sparky are leading the way. Unexpected. This will be our first recovery where Sparky is not being recovered. Sparky is doing a recovery. Alright, Kathy, listen to the tension on there. Okay, that's good. Okay, like I said, just give it gas, try and pull me forward. Hit it again. We needed just a little bit of me. When I was in neutral, you slid, but as soon as I gave it gas, keep going. As soon as I gave it gas, it was fine. I want to get the trailer out of here. A little farther. Just a little farther. Okay, you can stop there if you want. Thank you very much. Right, the first thing I always notice when I come into the woods here, other than I think about the trail cameras now taking picture after picture of me, is, windy, really hear it off the lake, and you come into the forest and it's just so peaceful. And this little blanket of 3 to maybe 6 inches of snow is just perfect. Now I have to be careful because I don't have brakes on that trailer and they wouldn't help anyway. It's a little M416 trailer, so it doesn't weigh a lot. Even loaded with our camping gear, it's lighter than most expedition trailers. But as people who've off-roaded with trailers will say, physics get really weird. So I'm coming down, that thing's going to push me. So coming in, fortunately I have good snow tires, and this is kind of fluffy snow that you can bite through. Because twice coming around that initial opening bend, the trailer tried to push me into a tree. And, I really shouldn't ride my brake, but in that case, I just have no choice but to hope kind of like snow plowing on skis. Here comes Kathy and Sparky. You see your headlights coming around the bend. And I'm going to walk out here over the side. I think we're going to have Sparky stay parked up here so that we can get out if something weird happens. And I think we'll put the trailer down in that clearing. I will get Kathy's input before we make anything. I didn't have to break out my recovery gear. We used Kathy's recovery gear. It wasn't trivial. It took it a little effort, but it pulled me up over the hill. All right, looks like the deer are appreciative of the little clearing I made here. The trailer and the little harbor loop that I've made here. This little blue loop. I'm thinking maybe just come around the loop and park right here. I'll see how Kathy feels about camping in the several inches of snow here. So it is currently recording. All right, I'm just going to lock front and rear. Shouldn't be any great drama. But if I do spin, I just want to see on the camera if everything should always be spinning. It's going to be locked. Spinning that you could see. Okay, so it is what it is. Might have to use recovery here.
Hold on.
This is where they always say put on the chains before you get stuck and stuff like that. I probably should just put on chains up there. Just at this point, I'm so distracted. I'm not even thinking straight. I should have just put on chains and would have gone right through this. Now I'm thinking, since I can almost get all the way through it, and I'm about to disconnect the trailer, I should just use the winch to the next, X number of feet rather than struggle with power chains. Decisions. Let's use the winch. just put the chains on. The other was, should I put the winch on ahead of time? And this is a case where even though there's a second vehicle, I don't want to bring Sparky down here because I don't want to deal with possibly getting both vehicles stuck. That's very unlikely. But it's like the whole stress level goes up considerably when you're trying to extract two different vehicles. Not a good candidate. A little too close. That one's actually snapped. Oh, it is dead. So I could probably grab that one at the base. Yeah, it wouldn't struck anyway. I left the power engaged. So you're fine there. You want to kind of stand back as I do this. I did find my cordless remote. Another thing that was annoying. The winch did turn, yes?
Yes.
But I did not lock its clutch. Just going to coast there. Pop that twig off. Another tree and work my way around. That's where you don't want to run the winch motor too long. How's that? Once you inspect the trailer, if we like it, we'll drop it there, and then I'll have to do some creative things. hot tea.
I don't know yet. Might be hot.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful morning. Nice late start today. So your crampons did not fit, correct?
I didn't try them.
Oh, there's a different way I can help you. They make a difference.
They hardly fit on my shoes, so.
And we're going to have Kathy test drive her awesome Christmas present snowshoes. The big moment, trying on your snowshoes out in the snow.
With these boots,
Yeah, which are...
I saw the pictures. You're supposed to put it under your heel.
Oh.
So it's supposed to keep you in deep snow from having trouble.
Oh,
And
okay.
but I don't see where my heel even comes close to it.
Oh, here we go. Now I'm zoomed out. Oh. Very good. Oh, there you go. Even thinking ahead using the heels. Who needs fancy
One or two.
cross-country ski? You decide. I think you should start with two, even though they don't match. Complete the ensemble.
Yeah, I would put my hands through there, but no. Ooh, very good.
A little different than falling on your tush trying to walk through this stuff.
Yes, which I have already done twice. You didn't have the camera on at that time. Ooh. How about I walk over there and come back?
Well, that's a good idea. In that clearing area that be double
You're
need to
also
walking on top of logs and, you know,
Yeah, logs and ice.
stumps.
Your print. Underneath it.
Yeah, there's logs and stumps and high spots and low spots.
Yeah, that's a log. But then I have metal claws, you know.
Yeah, I was noticing that with just the crampons on my boots, that if I step on an uneven surface, I'm still better off because the steel will grip it.
Do you like my paths that I've taken? I really seriously don't even need the...
So success, you give it a thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up
Awesome.
with my mittens.
There's a significant amount of amateur lumberjack work that needs to be done before we can just drive right up and camp on a nice, clear, level campsite. And we want our trips to the UP to be fun and not just a lot of hard work. So, slow and steady wins the race as far as clearing some lakeshore campsites is concerned.
So now I'm narrating. That deadfall must be pretty light because I saw Tom pick up a really big log and move it pretty far. So now to illustrate how close we are to the rocky beach, rocky shore. This would be a great area to recreate and possibly camp once this area is cleared a little bit and flattened. Here we go. So in this direction we would drive a vehicle in a semicircle drive, and exit that way. And the entrance is here. As I approach the rocky coast, the rocky shore, you can see how very close that is, and I like to turn around and get a view of the entrance. It is so well hidden, you wouldn't be able to see it as you're boating by in the spring or something. And look at this entrance. So we drove down this beach and turned around the vehicle. It's about 34 or 36 degrees. Honor. Not the one that he's standing next to. It's this one right here. I'll pan over to it. It's at the exit or the entrance. Yeah, that one right there. It's much smaller than the one on this side. And much, much smaller than that double tree right there. So, I don't know if you'll successfully hear my narration, but there he is. Tommy 2 Chains, clearing the deadfall.
In order to do what I need to do, I do have to fly the drone out of sight. However, there's a lot to learn about having confidence flying a drone on instruments only, which I have not yet mastered. somewhat tragically. It's right around in here where the inexperience of the drone pilot kicks in. I flew too far out over the woods and the drone started to lose signal. And it started beeping and saying that it couldn't find its way home. Then there was a cascading just avalanche of errors where it kept beeping at me and flashing different messages that it was too high, the wind was too strong, it couldn't come home. I didn't completely panic, but then I did end up flying it right over our heads. And eventually it found its way back. But fortunately, I had watched a lot of videos on the most common mistakes of inexperienced drone pilots. And yes, this captured most of them. I can't remember where exactly it was in here that I remembered the map feature on the DJI Fly app, and I was able to realize that I had flown over the lake and we were able to turn it around and bring it back. But certainly I breathed a lot easier. I think that was the third or fourth time I flew my Christmas present drone, and I was really worried that I was going to lose it either in a dense forest or out over the frozen lake. So before it was all said and done, I had 2 more opportunities to attempt to exercise sound judgment with Kathy's input. It was unseasonably warm, the snow was melting, and I've gotten buried in muskeg down there before. So we were either going to spend one more night in our campsite and put everything away wet the next morning after the forecast rained, or we were going to spend the afternoon tearing down camp, pulling out, and staying in our friend Sandy's tiny house. So fortunately, we exercised good judgment and stayed in Sandy's tiny house. I did use all of my recovery equipment again on this trip, including the receiver winch pulling the truck forward and backward at different times. So I was really kind of tired of playing with recovery equipment. But there's a good chance we'll be pulling out of here at 7 a.m. Thanks as always to Sandy for letting us use her awesome tiny house. Sparky's all set, ready to go. Kathy's just going to clean up the last pot we used in Sandy's. We're going to load up and hit the road. So that's not bad. If we get on the road by 7 a.m. Eastern time, we should be home in plenty of time. Again, very, very wonderful, worthwhile trip. We did pull out the day early just because it's so freakishly warm. I was afraid everything was going to turn to muskeg down there. So we got out of there, tire chains and all. But it's all good. So far so good. We're all packed up from last night. Good night's sleep, and we'll hit the road this morning. The second opportunity was on the ride home when Kathy had mentioned, gee, there's an outlet mall I'd like to visit. And given that my wife had gone primitive camping with me in the winter in the UP, I thought, maybe I can sit in the truck and catch up on some things while she does some shopping. So that was another good decision. So I think it's fair to say that one of the keys to any successful relationship is compromise. So on our way back from a pretty intense overlanding trip, our acreage in Michigan, I really have to learn not to turn away from a directional microphone. I'm just commenting on the fact that we're at an outlet mall. So Kathy says she could have cleaned out Eddie Bauer single-handedly. Fortunately, she didn't. She'll hit a couple more stores here and then we can head home. So it all worked out nicely. We each got to have our fun. And so ends another one of our adventures in the UP. Hopefully in our next video you'll see us camping on the lakeshore in that area that I was clearing with the chainsaw. But little by little, and in the meanwhile, we do enjoy the daily beauty of such a wonderful, wonderful place.